Good morning, my name is Martin and this is a Tribe of the Fox. And this is part 2 of the series Undirheimar. So that's a series about the heathen underworlds, so multiple underworlds that we can read about in the Edda poetry, like in the prose Edda and in the poetic Edda. So in episode 1 I talked about the creation myth that we can read about in the Edda. And I talked about the world tree Yggdrasil and the 9 worlds surrounding the world tree. And what else? Yeah, I talked about how important it is to study the source materials, so the written materials such as prose Edda, poetic Edda, or the writings of the Roman historian Tacitus, or the historian Saxo Grammaticus. It's very important. But it's also important, I explained, to go trans-journeying if you're able to do that. So very important. Your experiences or my experiences are then called unverified personal gnosis. And if we compare our experiences and certain elements keep on coming back, then you can say, yeah, this is peer corroborated gnosis. That's still not science, but at least it makes things clear. Okay, so what else? Let me see. Yeah, today we will go to Jotunheimar. Multiple. We see what that means. Jotunheimar, and we will go to the Ironwood. That's where we start. And we will also go to the Well of Mimir in this episode. So first of all, we go to the Ironwood or Jarnvidr. That's basically the heartland of Jotunheim. Now it is said in the Voluspa, that's part of the Edda, to the east sat the old lady in Jarnvidr, and raised there the kinfolk of Fenrir. That's about Angerboda. Angerboda is a goddess who rules the Ironwood. She is one of those beings that you call Tuarzar and not Jotun. The Tuarzar are the most ancient, most wise, most powerful beings. Although in Muspelheim, another world, there lives Sword, that's the oldest being, by the way. But the Tuarzar are extremely old. The Jotnar are also giants, just like the Tuarzar, but they came later and they seem to be less sophisticated as well, less powerful. Yeah, so Angerboda, the ruler of the Ironwood. Very important because if we look at her children, but also her husband, yeah, some very, very important deities. So her husband is Loki. So Loki is a pretty notorious and well-known god. What Loki basically does is he destroys that which is not of any use anymore. He destroys the old. Yeah, that brings a lot of people out of their comfort zone. And at the end of the cycle that we live in, he will destroy that. So then the entire cosmos is out of its comfort zone. So that's an incredible amount of power. Yeah. So that's the power of the Tuarzar. Let's have a look at the 3 children of Angerboda. My patron deity is the goddess Hela, or Hel. She rules the realm of the dead, and we're going to talk about the realm of the dead next week, or next time, next episode. Very, very important, the realm of the dead. And the daughter of Angerboda, so she comes from the Ironwood, Hela, rules that. That's so important because we all go there when we die. It's all about the realm of the dead in the afterlife. Because not every underworld is an afterlife. So the Ironwood is not an afterlife. Jotunheim is not an afterlife, not that I know of. And the sources also say no. Okay, so Hela, daughter of Angerboda, but also the wolf Fenris, or Fenrir, he's a son of Angerboda, and he will play a very, very important role when this cycle that our cosmos is going through, when that cycle ends. It is Fenris who will create a lot of destruction. That's his role. So you can see him as evil, but no, this is his role in the cosmos. Everything that comes, also goes away. That's the role that Fenris plays. Interestingly enough, this is a deity, Fenris, who is bound by chains. And he's so much energy in him, but also lots of wisdom because he's a deity. So how do you stay true to yourself when you're bound? That's a good question to ask him. I think many people will feel themselves bound in this world. And how do you stay true to yourself? To your true self, that is. Very important question. And Fenris can help you to inspire you with that. That's my experience, by the way. That's not what the source material says. Let's keep that separated. Another child of Angerboda, and I don't know if it's a he or a she, it's a snake. It's the Midgard snake, Jörmungandr. That's a snake that basically surrounds the cosmos, like he bites in his own tail. Jörmungandr. And Jörmungandr, he is life energy, but he also has destruction in it. In the first episode, I told you about Aether, A-I-T-R, Aether. According to the Edda poetry, that's a toxic substance that has life and growth in it, but also destruction. And it permeates this cosmos. So Jörmungandr may be a personification of that. It may be his true self. I find it very difficult to communicate with Jörmungandr. I have made trans-journeying to this powerful deity. Of all the deities, he feels the least human. Some deities present themselves more or less human, so we can understand. Jörmungandr, the Midgard snake, child of Angerboda, is a whole different ballgame. Yeah? So Hela, Fenris, Jörmungandr. Now Angerboda also has children with her own son, Fenris. They are wolf children. So yeah, there are other wolves too, because that's where Angerboda is known for creating a constant stream of newborn wolves. She's like a mother goddess. She creates so much of these wolves, but they can also play a role in the destruction when this planet of this cosmos comes at the end of its cycle. Yeah, so interestingly enough, some of the wolves, they will eat the sun and the moon. So that also says that these beings from the Ironwood can also live in other places, because those are the upper worlds, the celestial bodies like sun and moon. And her daughter lives in the realm of the dead in Helheim. So they can move around. These tours from the Ironwood are not restricted. Some people also say that Golveger is the same as Angerboda. Well, she reached Asgard, where the deities, where the Aesir gods live. So you see how mobile they are. Or Hirokin. Some say that Hirokin is also an emanation of Angerboda. She also went to the world of the gods to do some work. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. Now, when I journeyed to the Ironwood, and what I noticed is the energy was very wild, and sometimes the energy is totally aggressive. I also know that other people experience the Ironwood as very calm, very tranquil. So the energy can go from wild to calm and back again. It's a bit of an unpredictable realm, so to speak. However, I always had the thought, the idea from this feels like an afterlife. But the Ironwood is not the afterlife. So what is this? Then I read the Gulvegar book. Gulvegar book is a book written in 2010, if I'm not mistaken. 2010, written by Vexior or Ekortu, so it's two writers' names. And it explains the philosophy of Turzatru. I made a video about that as well, about Turzatru philosophy. And in that book, I could read that indeed, according to the writer of the Gulvegar book, that the Ironwood or Jarnvidr is in the Underworld. It's not an afterlife, but it is in the Underworld. And I thought, wow, my intuition was obviously right, because I experienced this, but the writer of that book, who is an actual practitioner, an actual journeyer, he experienced the same. Pretty interesting. That's called peer corroborated gnosis. Yeah. If you put several people's unverified personal gnosis together, and then you seek for common elements. Yeah. What else is a good argument for the Ironwood being an underworld is that there lives a figure there, and not much is said about him in the Edda poetry. His name is Ector. And Ector, or Echter, depends on how you want to pronounce it, he lives on a burial mound in the Ironwood. A burial mound. That has to do with the realm of the dead, or at least, or the underworld, or at least it's liminal. It's a liminal place between burial mounds, between the world of the living and an underworld. So interesting. So Ector, he is basically the herdsman of Angerboda, and he herds all those wolves who are running around there. So yeah, a little mysterious. It's a very mysterious figure. Not much is mentioned about Ector. Yeah, what else? Well, let's move on to Jotunheim, or Jotunheimar, multiple. That's where Turzar live. That's where also Jotnar live. So they're both giant races, with the Turzar being the oldest, mightiest, and most powerful. However, when I did spiritual journeying, trance journeying, I could not enter Jotunheim. And I thought, what is this? Why can't I enter? I can see it. I know it's extremely mountainous. I can sense the beings there. I cannot go in. Then I started to use a different method of journeying. I managed to reach Jotunheim this time with that different method, and it felt basically like our level that we humans live. We live in Midgard, and Jotunheim didn't felt very different. It felt like it was on the same level. However, then when I journeyed further, suddenly the whole vibe, the whole atmosphere changed, and I started to see only colors blue and black. I usually only see blue and black if I journey to Mirkvidr, which is an afterlife. I thought, okay, this shows that there are indeed two Jotunheimer. One on the level of Midgard, our world, and one in the Underworld. So now I experience this myself. Funny enough, this was also said in the Kulvegar book. Whoa, here we have peer corroborated gnosis again. Two people experiencing the same. Well, yeah, but it's not my favorite destination for trance journeying. The Ironwood, yes, I love it. I feel really at home there. I was allowed to go in. My relation with Jotunheimar seems to be less good. Yeah, can't have it all. Hmm. Can have a nice tea though. Okay, now there's a very interesting place in Jotunheim, and that place is called Mimir's Well. So the world tree has three roots, according to Edda poetry, three roots. One of those roots go into Jotunheim, and there's the Well of Mimir, because with every root, each of the three roots of Yggdrasil, the world tree, is a well. Okay, so who is Mimir? Because it's Mimir's well. Mimir is also a Tuarzar, one of these ancient, very ancient giants. And he is known for his wisdom. He drinks with his horn, he scoops the water out of the well, drinks it, that gives him extra wisdom. Okay, well, what kind of wisdom must that be, that such an ancient and wise being needs to drink from there, from that well? I think it's basically primordial wisdom from beyond our cosmos. Our cosmos is extremely limited. The wisdom might come from outside the cosmos, from the unconditioned. Something like Ginnungagap, the primordial void that I talked about. That kind of place. I think the wisdom is coming from there. Yeah, so it's not just water. Odin, the god Odin, according to the Edda poetry, was also very interested in drinking from this well, and he got permission from Mimir to do so in exchange for one eye. Okay. Now Odin, he did everything for wisdom. That's his entire existence, searching for wisdom, gaining wisdom, and he has it now. But he sacrifices eye, no problem, for Odin. Well, that's pretty badass. Yeah. Other sources, well, in the Edda, there's several poems, there's a collection of poetry. It says that Mimir was at a certain point decapitated in the war between the Aesir deities and the Vanir deities, and that his head is kept in a jar to prevent it from rotting away, and some magic has been done, and Odin still consults the head for its wisdom, it is said. I don't know if that's true, because that came from Snorri Sturluson. He was not a heathen. Okay, so what else? Have I journeyed to this well? Yes, I have. I have. And I could not drink from the well. I looked inside the well in my trance journey, and it was filled with a giant snake who protected it. So it did not want to kill me, but it was a guardian. He was a guardian. So what I learned actually is that for people like me, just ordinary folks, we should just sit at the well and listen. That was the message that I was given. This place is about sitting and listening. So I don't know if you experience the same, if you're a trance journeyer and you have been to the Well of Mimir. So if you have experience, please put it in the comment section below, because we have to share knowledge. actual knowledge from shamanic journeying, from trance journeying. We have to share this knowledge. That's what I'm doing. And you can do it too in the comment sections if you like. Yeah. So, yeah. Talked about the Ironwood today and its very important inhabitants. I talked about Jotunheim, how there's two Jotunheimar, one in the level of our world and one in the level of the Underworld, and I talked about the Well of Mimir. So next time I want to talk about the realm of the dead. It's my favorite destination, and Hela is my patron deity. So, and there are two wells there, so I'm going to talk about them as well. And we can talk about Niflheim and the mountains in between Niflheim and Helheim. So, that was it for today. Stay safe, stay healthy, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.